are you doing?
We did it.
We took a week off.
I know, right? Well, kind
Quote
of.
unquote. We took yeah, yeah. We quote unquote took a week off.
Yeah, I did not record last week either, so you were out. I took the
Yes. Yeah.
week off, I guess, from podcast stuff. I should
Yeah.
probably tell people. I mean, we kind of did, I guess, but I just like didn't do anything. It's just like,
Oh,
it's Thursday. I'm gonna not do the podcast.
just not show up.
Yeah, if you don't like it, call the fucking boss. I don't care.
But
yeah,
yeah, that does open up the we sort of have tried to set up a community thing, so you can actually call
yeah,
up the boss now.
that's true. People can complain. Yeah. No, that's a good point. So we have a Discord. We've had a Discord for a really long time. I just like didn't put it out for whatever
Yeah.
reason. I mean, I did, like, I don't know. There was the idea for a while that like if you subscribe to like Patreon or something, you would get Discord access as part
Oh,
of
really?
the
Oh, I didn't realize that.
monetization.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't talk about it, so like most people have no
Yeah.
fucking idea. But yeah, anyway, so there it is. But yeah, the link is in the description, I guess. You can go to the website 38.com, big old Discord button up there if you want to jump on Discord. If you have no idea what Discord is, probably not for you. It's a instant messaging platform that's really popular with gamers and the kids.
Mm,
I don't really know how to Discord, to be totally honest. I do use
yeah.
it quite a bit to like chat with folks, and like there's like groups that I'm involved in, but I'm like novice at best when it comes to running Discord. So
Yeah.
the first 100 people will get a some kind of a badge.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the
I'm
elements of
selling
Discord.
it
This
so well.
gamification.
Yeah.
This
Yeah. So
gamification element. Yeah.
yeah, there's no cost to join, and the intention is to try to have a space where people can collaborate and talk about stuff and try to keep the conversation going. I've talked about it a lot. I don't want this to be like a
Yeah.
broadcast only thing. So that's a spot where folks can come. There's people in there already, so join us. Like I can't say that there's a lively chat going on yet, but feel free to,
Not yet.
you know,
You can start one. Yeah.
yeah, no, feel free to jump in. And I put up a couple channels of like I guess the intention for those is that people can share what they're working on or what they're doing, and people can comment, or if you have questions or you need testers or whatever you want, you know, like don't spam people with shit and don't try to, you know, con people. But other than that, I don't really care.
Good call out. Yeah. Don't do those two things that a lot of people
Yeah.
go in and do.
Yeah, it's a good place to come for crazy ideas if you want, you know, feedback. And if you can't take feedback, then probably don't ask. Should probably have
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
formal rules in there, but like I don't know. If you feel like if you're listening to the
Yeah. We'll,
podcast to join, like you should kind of know what you're getting into. But
we'll figure out the rules as we need to. There's the thing, isn't there? Is like usually when a rule happens, there's a reason for that rule, why that rule was created.
100%. Yeah. No, I think the only rule right now is something along the lines of the golden rule is like, don't be an
Yeah.
asshole. Like treat other people the way that you expect to be treated in return, and expect people to treat you that way. Right. Like, and I
Yeah.
understand that that scares some people because that's open to interpretation, but you'll know if you're being an asshole.
Honestly, some people don't, unfortunately, but hopefully
let
our
you
audience does. Okay, yeah, you do that. Yeah, right. Okay, perfect.
but I don't know. I am hoping that there doesn't need to be a big, you know, rule push. I'm not a big rule person. But we'll see, you know. So if people come
Yeah,
in and ruin it, then we'll have rules. But it won't probably
yeah,
impact most people because most people are fine.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
so that's kind
So
of cool. I
come
guess a new
join, hang out.
milestone. Yeah. If you still want to donate, you can donate on Patreon or Ko-Fi. There's links there too. The goal with monetization of the podcast is to pay for the editing software and the hosting. That's it. Like,
I think
yeah, I don't think this is a job. Like maybe it feels like a job sometimes because it is sometimes a lot of
it's a
work.
hobby, right?
Yeah.
They have those hobbies where people spend money and don't anticipate ever getting anything back for spending that money.
It sounds way
Yeah.
better than a business loss. So it's a hobby.
You tell people it's a hobby. On paper, it's a business loss.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. No, it is a technically part of the company, but it's also pretty, like, I don't know if we've talked about numbers, but it's really not that expensive. I think it's like, should probably look, but it's like 20 something a month for editing software, and then hosting I think is like $10. That's not a lot, right? It's not, you know, and I don't never doing ads. I don't give a shit about monetization. I don't even think I would do product sponsors. Like maybe like if it was the right product and maybe if I already use it, you want to pay me to talk about it, I will. But like, I the podcast industry is growing. What is it, 23% a year?
Yeah, it's some pretty big number.
It's
Yeah,
huge, but it's still like a tiny fraction of the entire
compared
market
to the
to
mass media,
monetize.
right? Yeah,
And it's the winner take all system that we have in our society just manifests. So
yeah.
I would just say like you don't have to support us, but if you do have creators or folks you listen to or watch on YouTube or Twitch, we're on Twitch too. Support them. Throw them a few bucks. If you don't have a few bucks, tell someone else to tune in. Leave a
Right,
review.
share, right,
Yeah, because
yeah.
not everyone
Or
has
engage.
right? Yeah. Or
Yeah, yeah.
engage in the chat or the channel. As I like totally ignore the chat. Sorry, chat.
Well, I mean, I think that was the idea, right? To
Yeah.
have, we do have engagement during the live sessions, but very honestly, we're not super consistent all the time,
Yeah, no,
and
I
we know
totally
there's.
forget about it as soon as we. And I joke about needing a producer, and like if the thing ever starts making money, I probably pay someone to come in and like
Yeah.
try to wrangle me, which
Right.
probably not enough money in the world to try
Yeah,
to
I was
do
gonna
that job.
say, yeah,
But
yeah. I didn't want to say it.
oh, many people have tried, and many people have said it. It's totally What's funny though, because it's like it's a joke, but for people who don't know me, it like I am a creative at the end of the day.
Mm.
And that's just a personality, right? And it's like I think a lot of people think they're creative and then they meet a creative and they're like, holy shit. It's just different, right? We're just different. And I don't
Are you
know
able
how
to
else.
describe? Yeah, are you able to
Yeah.
describe like as a characteristics or the way you think? Surely, probably both. But
Probably
in your
both.
opinion, what
Like,
makes a creative a creative? Yeah.
yeah, I think like, yeah, that's that's an interesting question. Self-reflection. I think perseverance and grit, number one, is
Mm.
you just like doing hard mode the whole time. Because as a creator, as a creative, you're doing shit that hasn't been done before or
Yeah.
in a way that no one's done before, right? Like if you're just, trying to learn stuff, that's different. Um, I also think like criticism and critique is very different. It's very intellectual and
Mm.
everyone I know who's a successful creative, because there's like successful creatives and then there's unsuccessful creatives.
Yeah.
So I'm
I
going to talk
instantly
about,
know what you're talking
I think
about.
we should
Yeah.
talk about both because it actually fits the podcast really well. I wasn't really planning to talk about this, but why not? You like have to be able to take criticism, but I think a lot of people confuse that with like, you have to then accept it. You have to accept criticism in that people are going to give it to you. You don't have to
Right.
necessarily
You don't have to
what it
take. Yeah.
means.
You don't have to. Yeah. Exactly. You don't have to take that as the direction that you head in.
Right.
Right.
And I've had a lot
Yeah.
of conversations with folks who they were very uncomfortable. And I was like, thanks for your feedback. I'm not going to change anything. And they're
Mm.
like, wow, what do you mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. Like, I get your side of, and then they try to convince you. And I'm like, no, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I may not even disagree with it, but I'm like, we're not doing that, or I'm
Yeah.
not doing that. So there's the ability to take feedback. You have to learn and iterate to be a good creative. And I think you're constantly doing that. It's like nothing is ever done. And like we talk about that in software, where
Yeah.
software is never done. But I think like your project is never done. And the only way that it becomes done is if you hit some kind of constraint, which is
Mm.
typically like if it's software, it's like shipping a version
Resource.
yeah, you've run out of money.
Yeah.
If you're an
That's
artist,
probably the first one,
like
right?
there's no more canvas, and you
Ah.
can always
Yeah.
paint it over. You can go 4D. There's all sorts of stuff that people do, but like there's usually some kind of constraint, and then you're forced by that constraint, or you try to continuously get out of that constraint, and then you're in the non-successful creative bucket because you just never produce anything
Yep.
that's not for other people's consumption. It's
Yeah.
like part of being a creative is like you also have to have external consumption. And like if you want to be creative and like do stuff for yourself, that's really cool. Like do it. But like you're not really like a creative in my mind, because like you need to be benefiting other people, or other people need to be
Mm.
or collaborating, right? Like just I hate the idea of consumption, because it's a singular thing. And like when I build software, I try to ground it a little bit in tech. When I build software, um, it it's great, it's fun, but then it's like if no one uses it, it's not useful. And
Yeah.
if you're trying to do it to learn, or you're trying to do it to explore, it's useful to you, and that's fine. And if that's all you ever do, that's fine. But then you need to accept that like that's not being a creative, I guess, or a job, or you're not going to be successful at building a business that way. It's cool if you have a hobby. But I think people, and then I think people in the general populace confuse those two things. So like, oh, you're a creative, and they kind of roll their eyes. It's like, oh, you never get anything done.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Well, that can be true. If you're a successful creative, then you are getting stuff done, but the timelines are not the same timelines that people typically operate on.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
linear timeline doesn't usually mean as much. And
Right.
like corporate culture that has, not everywhere, but a lot of places that doesn't work very well. And in a lot of the tech companies I've worked in, startups, I own a company, that can be very detrimental if you don't ever ship anything. However, if you're actually user focused and trying to solve problems for your customers, that's how you print the money.
Right. Yeah. 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 I
What
want to go
does
back
that
to.
mean? Well, we could go on a whole thing with that, but I mean, it's literally that simple, and it's you have to be intellectually honest and measure, and then know what you're targeting. Right? We're going to do X thing to solve Y, and that could take
Mm,
6 months. It could take 3 days. And if it's going to take
mm.
6 months, you better be pushing. You better have growth. And if you don't have growth, maybe you need to prioritize other stuff that will grow sooner to get you to a position where you have like recurrent revenue where you can experiment more. And then it's
Yeah.
mixing, experimentation. And a lot of people might be listening and like, oh yeah, that's what I do. Well, yeah, but a lot of other people like have totally no
Don't.
idea. They just look at you like you're some crazy fucking person who can't do deadlines or can't explain the vision. Like a lot of times I'm like, I know where we're going. And that's, Mars is a great example with Elon. Like, I don't think Elon actually thinks they're going to get to Mars in his lifetime,
Mm.
but that's the eventual goal. But to get there, you need to build a rocket engine that can propel a rocket. You need to build a rocket that you can so all those steps along the way. And a lot of non-creative people get totally lost in like, oh, it's too big of a problem, it's too much of a derivative. Well,
Oh, interesting.
sure,
Yeah.
okay, but not all of us think that way. And it's just like the converse. If you don't get it, that's fine, but then ask questions. I don't really understand what I should do next, or how can I help?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Hmm. I mean, is that, we talk a lot about curiosity a lot, and I guess you could argue that part of being a creative is having the curiosity to know what the questions you need to ask to be able to understand what those roadmaps or those future visions would be. Right. So,
Yeah,
um,
I would agree with that. That's probably a core tenet too, is probably relentless and insatiable. And
whew,
I almost don't
yeah,
think of it as curiosity anymore, because for me it's just so much of who I am that I'm just going to ask questions. And I
sure,
think the more experienced you get as a creative, and I see this in myself a little bit, which I don't necessarily love. It's not a skill that I necessarily like, but you kind of develop it in that you push past, you gain so much experience and knowledge that you push past relatability to some extent.
sure, yeah,
And so
yeah.
like
I
when
think
I
that makes
work
sense.
with really junior people, it can work, but like it's usually not a good fit because I'm not a very good teacher.
Mm,
I mean, I think we talked about this before. I can teach. I hate it.
yeah,
It's just not what I like, right? And so fine, don't put me with super junior people who don't know what they're doing. Now, if you put me with a super junior person who's motivated and can ask questions and like learn from their mistakes and have some intuition about what they're doing, I can help coach them. I get a little grumpy sometimes, but like I can do that.
yeah, yeah,
But in a lot of people listening, they're probably like, oh, he can't work with people. No, I can absolutely work with people, but I work at a different level than a lot of other people do. And it's not a superiority thing. It's just that's my skill set.
yeah, yeah.
I excel at doing shit that's really, really, really hard and not necessarily well understood.
Right. I mean, from like the trying to be objective perspective, that's what happens
Yeah.
with wisdom in general, right? As you
Oh,
build a
100%.
trade or a domain expertise, sometimes you don't really recognize how far ahead you've established in the know-how that when you go back to having to work with people who don't have that knowledge, it takes a lot of effort,
Yeah,
regardless of whatever domain you're in, to
yeah. And a
go
lot of
back to days
creatives,
of old.
no, 100%. A lot of creatives don't do a very good job of matching people where they are. And like,
Yeah. Okay.
I do this pretty well. I've gotten that feedback too, but like, I don't know if it's lately, but I
Well,
just,
lately, you became that figure from your AI.
yeah, well, we're going to talk
Inside
about
joke.
that.
Inside joke. Yeah.
Oh yes, AI talk later. Stay tuned. Spoiler. Um, but I have become far less patient with explaining because it's like I'm cool doing it like once, and then if you're not engaged, I just don't have time anymore. And I don't know if that's because I'm old and crotchety and like a boomer now, but like if you're engaged and you're trying, like I'm totally like I won't spend 1,000 hours trying to help you, but like I'm engaged, I will help you. It's like help someone who's trying to help themselves. But
Yeah.
so much of our like culture has become like do it for me or give me the information.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
seeing this with AI. Like I think I sent you a thing earlier this morning where someone came up with a website. I should put it up there where uh, it's
Don't
like
just
a
copy and
response
paste.
for somebody who gives you an AI response on instant messaging or something. It's a common thing people are doing. It's like if I'm asking you for something, I want you. I want Nathan's opinion. I don't want
Yeah.
Nathan to like AI up something. And for the older folks in the crowd, it's, let me Google that for
Let me
you. It's
Google
like
it
a
for you. Yeah.
website
Yeah. Yeah.
where someone would ask you kind of a remedial question or something that like should be probably answerable via Google search. And then it was kind of a condescending way to to let them
Yeah.
know.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so I think
Guilty.
that's what like a successful creative kind of traits are. Not exhaustive.
Hmm.
I think unsuccessful. The primary thing is like the pursuit of relentless perfection without constraints. So either you just
Mm.
constantly fail because you're always running out of time or money or whatever, or you don't self-impose. And I think like the really good creative
Mm.
people know that they will never stop, but they'll know
Yeah.
impose a deadline. They'll be like, by the end of
Right.
June,
Right.
I'm going to do this, or we're going to set this budget, or we're going to set this timeline because all this other stuff. And then we're going to be relentlessly pursuing the most perfect vision of what we can do in whatever constraint we allot. And you
Right.
learn to self-constrain. But the folks who don't become successful, or just people who are hobbyists, they just don't ever finish. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's necessarily a bad thing. I'm just like, you're not going to be successful in life if you don't ever finish anything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's so easy, I think, to be emotionally driven in your creativity, especially when it comes to art. Like software is a little different, but there's people who are very passionate and very emotional about the software,
Yeah.
and that's fine.
For sure.
You can do that. But especially with art, where you just never finish it, or you never uh, present it, and then part of it, and it's interesting. I had an interesting thing we didn't talk about earlier, but I think I've now come to the opinion. You've heard it here first, that the world is not emotionally driven. The world is ego driven.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, maybe, for I think I don't know how many people are familiar with the idea of ego.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you want to sort of elaborate a little bit on your how you're using ego here, because I think
Oh,
some people
that's
hear ego
good
and they
idea.
have like
Yeah.
this they have this idea that ego is just, I would say, maybe self-importance, but that's
Yeah.
not always the case. Like there are
Yeah.
psychological or maybe theoretical constructs around what an ego is, and it's
Yeah.
not just, oh, I am all important. It is just really the idea of being able to see your perspective, or the
Yeah.
sense of your individual experience.
I agree with that, frankly. Like, I think I don't know, I don't really know if I have a definition of ego. It's interesting you say that because I kind of forgot that there's like the clinical definition,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there's all
Right.
that social baggage.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have an amalgamated idea. And what I mean by ego is the synthesis, either like knowingly or unknowingly, that everything is impacting to you. So it
Mhm.
is that individualistic idea, it's that singular lens. And I think people confuse this with like the emotionality because a lot of people are mad that you don't understand my idea, or you're an idiot because you don't understand my idea.
Yeah.
But the common factor there is the world against you.
Hmm.
Or something happens that you then chalk up to an externality. And I
Right.
think that's an actual ego driven thing, and not necessarily an emotional thing. And the reason I bring that up is because like I generally try to view the world rationally. And a lot of people will say, "Oh, the world is more emotional, and you have to have feelings." It's
Yeah.
like, "Wait, I have feelings," but it's like if you're impulsively running through the world with your feelings and you're not trying to regulate that at all, it's really unhealthy, and you're going to be
I
really,
think there's an actual condition for that if you can't
yeah.
regulate your emotion.
Well,
Yeah.
and you're just letting the entire world overwrite your own emotional state,
Right. It's like
right?
reaction versus why am I brain
Reflection.
farting on this? Yeah,
Yeah.
there's like a like you can react versus you can well, I don't know why I'm forgetting this, but like something happens and you're instantly doing something versus
Yeah.
taking it in and then
Yeah.
determining how you respond to
And
it,
they
or
usually teach
reacting
that, like
versus responding. I guess maybe that's what it
therapy
is.
101 is
Yeah.
like awareness of your reaction or the emotional state, right? And trying to
Yeah.
regulate. And the thing that I think is interesting with like rationality is that it's a learnable skill. There's like a couple like mental conditions and brain conditions where you like literally can't, you're the part of the
Mm,
brain
can
that
connect
doesn't
dots. Yeah.
exist,
Yeah.
but everyone else can learn how to be rational. And that doesn't mean you're some like, unempathetic, non-feeling person. It's just
Right.
that you take a deep breath or you reflect on like why are you feeling. It's a deeper analysis of what's going on versus you said something, I'm mad, so I'm going to be mad
Mhm.
now.
Yeah.
Okay, but like why are you mad? Like, and almost I think in every case it comes back to, well, I am the center of my universe, and
Yeah. Yeah.
something
Right.
has cracked the shield or got broken the glass, and now I'm really uncomfortable and I'm going to lash out or be whatever. And I'm
Yeah.
not the first person to come up with this, but I've kind of been like back and forth on this for a little bit. I think it's all ego driven. I think that really changes the way that I look at a lot of stuff in the life.
Hmm.
And it
Yeah.
all makes more sense to me than emotional, because I'm like, well, yeah, there's people who are emotional and they react emotionally, but I'm like, but what you then choose to do with that emotion
Right.
tends to also be very ego focused, right? And
Yeah.
so, and
Yeah.
especially in like Western society in America, we're so individualistic, which is I think a really clever way of just saying an ego driven.
No, for sure. I think that's absolutely. I mean, coming from an Asian culture and background, I think that is one of the key differences, and it's partially also why I think, at least when I look at AI, it's why that is so dangerous. It's
uh,
so slippery because of this whole
yeah.
AI psychosis element, where it sort of just feeds your ego in the sense of like, yeah, you're right. Actually,
When it's
we
designed
do
to
have.
do that.
Yeah, exactly. Right, right. It's designed to take the human feedback that you give it, and it's so supposed to defer to the human feedback. And if you're the human
Yeah.
feedback, then yeah, sure, it's going to take your word for it, right? And it does worry me what happens when you are, say, the next generation and growing up with this technology.
Yeah.
How do you deal with other people? How do you learn how
It's
to
the same
regulate?
problem with Instagram and social media, right?
Yeah,
Is
yeah, yeah,
it learns what you like and what you don't like, and then it feeds you both, right?
yeah,
So yeah, I don't know. We're like way, I don't know. I guess we don't really ever have topics, but
yeah.
we're way out of
We try to find ways
early
to segue
planning, I guess. Yeah,
into yeah, we try to find top ways to segue stuff into, but it doesn't
yeah,
always happen.
yeah. No, but it's cool. No, I think that was interesting, kind of, traits of what makes us, what is a creative, and like what is a successful creative. I think is, and I've said this many times too. I reserve the right to change my opinion with new
Mhm.
evidence and new
As
information,
everyone should. Yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah.
also probably a trait of a creative. It's, you have your vision, you want to execute on that vision, but like you have to learn along the way as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think in corporate culture too, like it can work really well. I've worked in some companies that it's been very successful in, but it's just most systems are not designed for that. And I think this is like directly why so many folks are having problems with AI, and so many
Yeah.
companies are having trouble integrating AI or adopting AI, partly because it's like the most effective way that you can use it is executing creativity, but you also have to be creative in how you use the technology, and you have to be experimental and learn. And it's not a like, I do things this way and it always is going to work that way,
Right.
which
Yeah.
is funny because that's how life is, right? Like,
Yeah. For
I
sure.
feel
For
kind
sure.
of crazy trying to explain this to people because, like, I know a lot of people are struggling with it, using AI and adopting AI, and I'm like, it's just like life. I guess maybe you struggle in life. I don't know.
Right. Hey, I mean, life is hard. No shame in struggling with life.
Yeah, and so like one of the things I guess we can talk about too. So the Shipaton, I
Yes.
totally
Yeah. We
called it
talked about it a few weeks
Shipathon
ago.
last stream.
Oh, I thought it was called Shipathon. It's called Shipaton. Okay.
Ship
Okay.
a
Sure.
ton.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Same thing.
I know,
Yeah.
right? It's
Same thing.
not a plug, obviously.
Whatever.
For folks who don't remember or are tuning in, the Ship a Ton is a conversation or a competition put on by a company to ship as much as you can. And then August and September, I mentioned that I was going to enter a couple apps as part of this. One of them is still to be announced. It's in work. It's going to be done this weekend. It will be done
Mm.
this weekend. It's like 99.9%. It's just that 0.1%
It's
is
always the last mile.
irritating.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
an AI cannot do anything novel to save its life. It's
Yeah.
really aggravating to hear all these people. Oh, it's going to take everyone's job, and I'm like, this shit couldn't get out of a wet paper bag. It'd be like, I'm in the beginning of the abyss. I don't know where, you're in a wet paper bag, get out. Oh, I don't know how. What is a wet paper bag? What are the dimensions? Give it the dimensions. It's like, it's 20 kilograms. You're like, that's not a volume. I don't know,
Yeah.
where did you
It's
come
not,
up
it's
with
not
that?
all right.
So anyway, so yeah, so I was going to show this. So for folks listening, you might want to watch the YouTube stream, but I'm going to try to talk.
Trying to, yeah.
this.
Yeah. This is what they always
Yeah.
explain what's happening.
So this is DigiCity, and if you're listening, I'll try to describe. But if you're familiar with any kind of city builder game, it's modeled after that, and so it's iOS only. It's not available on the App Store yet. It's going through the Apple submission. It's probably going to take a while to get there. But it is via test flight. I'll put the link in the description. It's not approved by Apple yet. It has to be approved for test flight. It hopefully will be in the next day or two. It's increasingly frustrating to be working in the App Store with Apple's slowness. Like, they're a multi-trillion-dollar company and they can't approve stuff I can ship so much faster than they can approve it. I'm not that good.
Yeah, we talked about the platform and the gatekeeper
Yeah.
problem, and yeah, right.
So anyway, so it's oops, I just built some stuff. I built industrial. So the idea is that you build a city, right? And so this is all original artwork that I have. And so you need to build commercial districts for, land development. I have power and water. You have to, make you build the city kind of infrastructure. So I'm just kind of building some stuff out on screen. I'm building all the different districts, and then I'll turn so I have a pause function down there, so you can build stuff if you want to build a power plant, put some power lines in. Let's see if we can get a city to build here. Get some water. Water doesn't flow uphill, unlike some city builder games where water flows uphill. So the mechanics are pretty rudimentary today, to be like fully transparent. So we have power and water with everything, right? So we'll see if we let's see here. So I'm just gonna inspect. So I have power line, and so yeah, so you can look at the, you can improve the land kind of thing and build a city. We started in 1900. I don't know why it's not. Maybe there's a bug.
Joys of demoing life.
I know, right? Well, I literally showed this to you like moments ago.
Yeah, you did it right before we started.
I know, right before we started. I mean, this is part of, the city builder games. If you've played them, like, it doesn't, just because you build it doesn't mean they will come. And that, that's
Nice.
part of the logic. So it could just take a while, or I didn't do something right. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of the idea. And then as stuff develops, the buildings change. I guess I can restart and I am running in the iOS simulator, so it's like shit
Right.
gets weird
Yeah.
just in general. Um, so I'm assuming that's probably the issue. But yeah, so that's it. That's basically the game. And then you have a bigger map. I can't zoom because I'm on the stupid sim. Zooming works on the actual iPad, but it doesn't work
Yeah.
in the sim for some reason. And like, welcome to development. But I guess, well, maybe I'll go back here. The cool thing, or maybe I don't know if it's cool for some people, but the game is totally free to play. And if you want to save the game and you go to save the first time, you get a little description here that says you have to pay. And so it's a one-time purchase for $10, and you get saving, and then you get the rest of the game effectively for free. And so
Yeah.
it's kind of a shareware idea, I guess, maybe that if for younger folks,
Back in the day. Yeah.
yeah, you used to just get software and like you would pay to unlock levels or saving or something like that. And so that's kind of a different spin, but there's no time box bullshit. There's no loot box crap. It's just like you can
Oh,
build the
jeez.
city.
Yeah.
Um, Again, very rudimentary. This is a week of work,
Yeah.
so I went from
You build
literally
it
an
for the
idea
Shipaton. Yeah.
to nothing. And then now we have the sim, and I'll be adding a bunch more stuff. So like one of the mechanics that's already in there is like inflation is real in the game.
Yeah. 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 I thought this
And
was interesting to see how that.
yeah, so you have to build a lot of the city builders. You just kind of build, stuff will happen. There'll be like disasters or something, or like riots and fires and stuff. But
Yeah.
I built an inflationary tactic, so you have to kind of like manage the economy a little bit. Like industrial is going to be in vogue for a long time, and then it won't, and then you'll need to or your housing market will crash. Those kind of things. And I'm going to add borrowing in there somewhere too, and so inflation is going to be much
Oh.
more critical for borrowing and like being able to deflate the currency versus. So I'm trying to add some fun mechanics in there that I don't want the game to be like super hard, because there's a lot of city
Right.
builders that are like, I think it's like City
It's
Skyline. You have to have the slope of the pipe right, or it doesn't like work.
yeah, like yeah, some focus more on like the physics of
Yeah,
building cities, and then some are like economic
yeah.
simulation kind of.
So
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
into that, DigiCity is probably not for you. But if you're looking for just kind of a fun little city builder game that you can kind of build and design the city that you want, and adds kind of stuff, and have some. I think I'll probably have different modes. So maybe it'll be like an economic challenges mode, or like a growth challenge mode, and like try to make the
Nice.
game challengeable, because it's right now it's not super hard, to be honest. You gotta balance supply and
Sure. Right.
demand,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so if you're interested in that, you can, I guess, join the Discord, and if you want to see something, do it. I'll get the test flight up, as soon as Apple approves it. You can download it, play it for free. If you have feedback, feel free to send it. And so I'll be submitting this to the Shipaton. I don't even know what it's
Yeah.
called.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. I think that's right.
Not
Yeah.
an ad.
We just mentioned it. I totally forgot what it was. Yes, I think that's right.
So I don't know if there's I guess you go to the website there and you'll see it eventually. I don't know how it works, to be totally honest, and maybe it'll be too hard to submit the paperwork. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, submitting under the game category. So if you have another idea for a game or something, go do it. Right? Like, again, not necessarily an endorsement, but I think it's probably a reputable thing.
Yeah. So
So
I mean, in our Discord, maybe one of the things we can do, and I'll leave this to you to decide, create a channel for it, because one of the things for the Discord was this sort of collaboration and this feedback
yeah,
uh, loop, I guess. I mean, back in the, I mean, some people still do this now, but you have like a contact, or you email issue, submission, support request, or whatever it is. But I think one of the things with Discord is it's semi real time, so that
yes.
it's a bit easier to get engaged on providing feedback, or if you are interested, I don't know, maybe collaborating. I don't know if they want to expand it out. Some of the ideas you mentioned are really cool, I think,
Yeah,
like this on the
no, and
simulating economies stuff.
and I like I don't I wanted a city builder for iOS, and it didn't exist. as far
Yeah,
as
this
like
was very much, yeah, we talked about this, very much of this was your own solve your own problem thing, and then hey, maybe
yeah.
other people are interested.
Well, yeah,
To
I
be
talked
honest,
to
that's a
some
lot of the stuff that
friends.
you've built out. Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to some friends. They were into it, and I was like, great. I don't know why no one's really done this. Like, um, but I did, and I don't know if I'm going to open source it or not yet. I haven't really decided. I don't see why I wouldn't, other than it like, oh, did I just crash? I
uh,
think I have AIing in the background too.
oh,
um,
fair.
which is probably, yeah. You don't do that and try to record video and stream to the internet. But yeah, so that's DigiCity. But yeah, I think I'll open source it. I haven't done it yet. The only reason, like the only hesitation I have is like it just adds a layer of complexity, and
Sure.
I'm trying to do this Shipaton and ship
Yeah, yeah.
as fast as I
Do it
can and
after.
kind of show
Yeah,
that process. But like the best way to show that, other than me like literally sitting here on a terminal and like doing it, is probably to just like have that source and you can like go play with it yourself
right.
if you want, or make it better. I don't really care.
Yeah, that'd be
Um,
cool.
yeah, and I have some other ideas for monetization. So one of the parts of the competition is like how do you like a clever way to monetize.
Yeah,
And so I don't want to get too much into that on stream because it is a competition. Um,
sure.
I think the grand prize like $30,000 or something. Like so,
It's significant. I mean,
it is
there are
pretty
several
big.
sponsors with,
Yeah,
there's several sponsors with different uh challenges, I guess you would call them, and they're different
yeah,
prize buckets. So it's
yeah.
not like
So
there's one
yeah, so
person
I
takes
don't want to
all.
give away all the cards up front either. But in terms of like mechanics and stuff, yeah, I'm always down for that. And then after it's submitted, after September 30th, I'm down to like if people are really into it and want to like
Yeah, that'd be
we
cool.
can run our own like 3.8 develop-a-thon or something. Like
Yeah.
I I don't know. I've never built a game. That's not true. I built a game once. I should talk about that. That was fun. So when I was back once upon a time when I was in programming school,
uh was it a boot camp or actually programming school?
no, it was actually programming school.
Yeah.
It was CS 101,
Mm,
and it was programming in C
yeah.
with no IDE.
Oh, fun. Yeah, yeah. You sit
Yep.
there and write your text file, and then you run the compiler on it, and then if it works,
And make
great.
a
If it
lot of
doesn't, well, you.
mistakes, swear a
Yeah,
lot. Yeah.
yeah.
So I was a computer science student once upon a time. And yeah, CS 101 or CS, yeah, I think it was CS 101 was introduction to programming mythology or whatever every computer science class, right?
Programming mythology. Yeah,
I mean, it was kind of, yeah, it was where you start to learn the basics of how computers work and like algorithms and different types of functions and logic and all that kind of stuff. And like a lot of people in the class knew that going in. So you have the remedial, and then uh I don't know for folks who know C, but or like memory management. And with C, there's you have to run your own memory management. So you have to tell
yep.
the computer how
Memory
much
allocation, how much you're going to
space you
use, and
need.
right.
And so what that means in like productive terms is like if you open an application on your phone or on your computer, the program has to effectively tell the computer, your phone or the computer you're on, I need, this many,
Yeah,
memory. And then if you go to, say an email program, you click open an email. Well, that email is going to require memory. And so maybe it comes from the application itself. Maybe you need more.
yeah,
Right. And then, so you have to do all, which is very, very hard to do in the modern world and just hard in general. Most languages now are memory safe or have that kind of solved for. And even like C plus has kind of more memory safety kind of stuff functions.
yep.
And then there's also uh, a bunch of different built-in functions. There's a bunch of within the language, but then there's also a bunch of like library kind of systems that are there as well. And so I was learning all that kind of stuff and like how to get information in and out of all this kind of, anyone who's ever programmed, it's basic, that kind of stuff. And I think it was the final for the midterm. It was either the final for the class or the midterm. I don't remember now. We had to create a game
Mm,
in C,
yeah.
which sucked. I mean, it was actually kind of fun, but it sucked because
Yeah, yeah.
like we didn't. I don't think we even got it. We didn't get it. A lot of the assignments towards the end specifically were like we'd get like skeleton code or we would get
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You get something that
files to
that kind
build
of
on. We
gets
didn't have to start
the
from
infrastructure up.
scratch.
Yeah, yeah. Right,
But
right. Yeah.
almost
That was
the first half of the class was open a text file that's blank and build the program
and then right. Yeah.
from
Nice.
scratch. So that sucked.
Nice. Nice.
Um, I think we complained so much. He was like, "Okay, well, I'll give you some like boilerplate code to like." And
Yeah.
this was before like Stack Exchange was really popular. Like it was around, but
I
it
remember those
wasn't
days.
like the
Yeah, yeah,
internet was helpful, but not at the same time.
yeah.
And you couldn't just like Google a lot of the stuff that you can now. People were still, you would get the O'Reilly C
Yeah,
book
yeah, yeah.
Bible or whatever it was
Learn
called.
in 24 hours. Kind of this. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
remember those.
Yeah. Coding for dummies, those kind of
Yeah, yeah,
things. And
yeah.
then a lot of like in-person communication with people and like upperclassmen. And like we had some, people come in and help. But yeah, so the quest was to create a game, anything you wanted. And I think we were limited to text because like
Yeah, yeah.
the next class was computer
GUIs or
graphics
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
advanced input output or something like that. And so I don't know if anybody's played a text-based game before, but it's very different.
Yeah, they called them MUDs back in the day, multi-user
Yeah.
dungeons,
Yes.
and yeah, yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I grew up playing some of these, so it's like I kind of got the concept, but people now might not have any idea what I'm talking about. And uh, if you've ever read one of like the Choose Your Own Adventure books, that was what the
Yeah, yeah.
style that I kind
Right.
of went after
Yeah, yeah,
was.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was a very loose story.
Yep.
And then it was a little bit of like a dungeon crawler, so you're like kind of navigating a world, and there was no map. Like you couldn't really see where you were
Yeah.
going, so you had to kind of keep track of it, which is very typical of these kind of games because like
Right.
like I didn't probably know how to do it.
Yeah.
I did have a couple things I was really proud of where uh, it would print out like a kind of a ASCII
Yeah, the ASCII maps. Yeah, yeah. The
representation of
representation
something.
of what?
So
Yes. Yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah,
if you can think about like trying to navigate your house with a blindfold, that's kind of how the game was. So you go forward, go back,
yeah,
take a
yeah.
left, take a right, and then it's like you hit a wall. What do? You take a left. Oh, you found a door. Can you open it? So there's those kind of challenges and like very rudimentary. But we had to program all this shit by hand.
Mm.
Right. And so you get into loops and you get into functions very quickly. So I had like a door function.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And for folks who don't understand that, every time you would hit a door, I had predefined door function,
What you
quote
could do,
unquote,
right?
which had, right, you could open it. I think I had a random like locked property. So like you had a random chance of having it locked, and then you would be presented
Uh,
with some kind of a decision tree of like, can you bat it down or can you kick it in, or maybe you have a key or something you found, or so, just kind of your basic game. All that had to be programmed by scratch, and there were stipulations like we had to use randomness, we had to use text in out, we had to use we had to also keep score,
oh,
and we
okay. I
were
was thinking something
playing.
like array management would also be one of
Yeah,
these.
yes,
Yeah,
it's
like you'd have
exactly. And
arrays, and then
then
yeah,
I had items that you kind of found
yeah, yeah,
along the
yeah,
way that you
yeah,
could keep.
yeah.
Yep. There's one other thing. I think we had to sort somehow. There was some kind of like you had
Oh,
to like,
yeah, sure, sure.
yeah,
Right.
right.
Yeah,
So it's
that's a
all the
common first thing.
basic principles of
Yeah, yeah.
programming that you had to demonstrate you knew how to do. And so I did my game, and it was, I don't know, there was a few levels, and it also, it couldn't have been so complex that you couldn't. I think you had to be able to get through it in like 10 minutes or something, right? So you had to like focus it in. But I remember the final battle was against the professor.
That's commonly done. Yeah.
I know, right? But I made it a little bit of a twist. So it's like you get to the boss, right? So it's your typical end of the game kind of boss battle. And if you didn't find a weapon along the way, you were basically screwed. You failed.
Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you found a weapon, um, you would have a random hit chance, which is pretty rudimentary game,
Mhm.
right? So it's like you swing and then you get some sort of integer return, I think. And then the fun part was though, is the only way to kill the monster was you had to like segfault or something. So you had to
Oh,
create something
interesting. Yeah,
undetermined. And so
interesting.
in C, a segfault is if the if you do something wrong or the logic
You
is
overrun memory, or
incorrect,
yeah.
yeah, then the language basically ceases the program to protect the rest of the operating system,
Mm.
or the operating system will kill the program to protect itself from like crashing or something. And so like you had to find like the segfault dagger, and then you had to like root in the assignment file to like do
Yeah,
extra damage. Otherwise, you would just never win.
nice, nice.
And I remember getting, so you had to submit it back in the day in some fucking portal, or it was actually a shared drive. And I remember getting an email from him uh, being like, I can't figure out how to win your game. And so like we had to give the source, right? And so
Yeah.
anyone who's written software, like the source is the blueprint and has all the information of how the thing works. And I don't remember what I did, but I made it in such, I basically encrypted the source using
Oh,
a bunch of
interesting.
complicated logic and functions so that it was really, really difficult to trace. And so you basically like either had to just kind of figure it out and be painful traced, or this is the one line program.
Oh, oh,
Yes,
okay.
I
Yeah,
wrote
you
the
said everything
entire thing in
in
one
one line.
line.
Yeah, in
And so
one.
for
Yeah,
anyone who's worked with programming and code, like that's impossible to work with. You just can't unless it's
yeah,
super
yeah.
super simple. And so typically you have like you would in like a Word document, you'd have space between paragraphs and letters and words. And I wrote it all in one fucking line. In addition to that, I did some other kind of shitty stuff because I like was kind of
I'm
mad.
surprised your professor didn't require you to provide like actual real source.
Yeah, no, I did, but the source was in
On
one
top, on
line.
top. Yeah, yeah. No, but that's what I
Yeah,
meant. It's like
and
I'm surprised he didn't just say, "Hey, give me everything properly
no,
formatted."
well, I know. Well, but so I think he the email was I can't figure out how to win the game, and I think there was a hints in the the quest as you were going through
uh, uh,
exploring. You would get hints. I was like, well, just follow the hints, you know, because I'm a
yeah.
18-year-old shithead. And but then I got another email back like a couple of minutes later. He's like, I need to be able to complete the game for you to not fail the
Yeah,
assignment.
yeah.
So then I think I gave him another hint, and then he figured it out. But he pushed back on me. But like to his credit, he didn't specify in the assignment that the code had to be
Sure. Yeah,
readable.
yeah. You just give him
All
bytecode.
previous assignments, the code had to be human readable
uh,
and formatted.
interesting.
But what I ended up doing too is a lot of the we had to write a bunch of functions to
Mhm.
do shit. And so I think what I ended up doing is decide I didn't want to do that. And so I hard coded a lot of stuff to work.
It's acceptable for games, actually.
It
A
wasn't
lot of times.
acceptable in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
yeah in
Your
the
class, sure.
assignments.
Yeah.
Well, because we all ran out of time, right? And anyone
Yeah,
who's
yeah.
done these kind of things, like you have this brilliant idea of this beautiful game you're going to make, and then it's like Sunday night, and you're like, oh my god, I've spent 2 days on this, and the thing barely
Right.
works or
Yeah.
doesn't compile or whatever, right? And that's part of it, right? You just learn
Mhm.
that. But yeah, so I hard coded a bunch of shit that I wasn't supposed to do either, and then I named the doctor so and so a sore or something like that, and that was probably not the best decision to make. And he told me he spent like, I think he said he spent like 30 minutes trying to like reconstruct the code to make it function. He said
Wow.
I couldn't make it work.
Yeah. Fun.
So
I
don't do
mean,
that.
in some weird way, your anecdote is bringing it full circle.
I
So
know,
to
right?
describe you as a creative, this is what you decide to do to demonstrate that you're a creative.
I know, right? So don't do that. Well, it like, in a professional environment or whatever, like 90% of the problem of code is like making sure other people can understand what the hell
Yeah.
you're doing,
Right.
right? It's not
Yeah.
actually writing the code or solving problems
Yeah.
even.
Exactly.
But yeah, for the assignment, I was kind of mad at because it was too much to do in like the time we were allotted, especially for a midterm.
Mm.
And everybody agreed. Like we ended up having to cut a bunch of stuff because like everyone was like, we're all going to fail because we're not good enough at programming, or just like,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know, it's just too hard. which I guess happens. And this was the first time they taught the class this way. And I guess they moved it from like, I think it was Visual Basic to C,
Yeah,
which is already like, C is
a
just
big
hard
jump.
mode in general,
Mhm.
especially to learn. Like it's a lot easier now, especially C plus offers a lot of stuff that is nice. And he like, we
Yeah,
were forbidden from using that because it has like garbage-esque collection, and it has a
convenience.
lot more memory safe
Yeah.
features and functions. But so I guess I've made a game. It was not a good game, but it did not fail me. I passed the class. I don't remember what I got. I think I got like a C- on the assignment, and it was only because it worked. And he was like, I can't verify why it works, but it works. So don't do that
Nice.
either.
Yeah, that's the best grade you can get, just barely passing.
And I probably should have, right? Looking back, I was like, yeah, I probably was like kind of a mean thing to do, but he's a good guy. Like we got along, really well, but it was just one of those things where it's just like, 18-year-old me,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah.
But so this is a much better game, and it has
Yeah, check
graphics.
out DigiCity. Right. You mentioned you were submitting it to the app stores. Is there a expected time where you hope that's up there and available? No, it's whenever Apple decides to approve. Yeah.
Yeah. So 2 weeks ago, we talked about a little bit, I think. I have an app that I've had up for a long time,
Yeah. It
and
just
it's
took a while to
been
get there.
over a week now, and they haven't approved it. And I
Yeah.
submitted another app that we have that took 7 days and 2 hours.
Mhm. Yeah. All
And there
right.
was no notes or anything. It was immediate. It was, I think I sent you this. It was in feedback review for like
Yeah.
3
For
minutes.
the longest time. Right. And then
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I
So
remember. Right.
it was in review purgatory. Nobody. So the process is you submit the app. It goes to Apple. Apple then starts to review it. You get a notification saying in review. That usually takes a few hours. Sometimes it takes a couple days, just depending on what you're doing or who's doing it. It was literally in review by Apple for 3 minutes. It was approved and then shipped to the store.
Yeah.
So I waited literally 7 days and 2 hours. So I hope this
Yeah.
will be quick. It's got payments attached to it, so Apple
Sure.
tends to be a little slower on that for probably good
Right.
reason. I try to make sure I'm not
Yeah.
scamming people.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah,
Check out DigiCity. We have
join
our
the
Discord up.
Discord.
Yeah. Join the Discord. And
Anything else?
come talk to us. I guess. Come talk to us, I guess.
Well, I don't know. People are like, "Oh, you sound so unsure." I'm like, I don't want to obligate people. It's like
Yeah.
part of the whole thing is like, if you're interested, then you come and check it out and make it what you want to see. If you're not interested, you won't do it. And
Yeah.
I'm cool with that, right? Like again, I'm not under some delusion of grandeur. I don't even think I want this to be a podcast where like billions of people are watching it, right? That'd just be okay, I guess, but like it totally change the intent of what we're
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And we're big on attention, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
If we ever get
Awesome.
there, we'll figure it out. So
Yeah. Cool.
awesome. Happy Thursday.
Yes, Thursday. Yeah.